fine day has just gone by and love is in the air. It feels romantic, it feels loving, isn't it? Because the environment is so. Yes, there is also a lot to be contributed by the climate, but be it, celebrate it. But where does love begin? Where does this come from? The way when you sit on the plane and they say, before tying the belt of your child or so, tie for yourself. Similarly, love always begins with you, yourself. So there are some important pertinent questions. What is self? What is love? So what it amounts as self-love, and how do I get there? Today we are going to decode all this. So stay tuned till the end and do share what you think about it. Hi, I am Richa Pulin, your clarity coach. So what is self? If in an interview you are asked, tell me something about yourself. Tuck, 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 tuck. Fatak, fatak, fatak. My name is this, my qualification is this. In fact, we prepare for it, don't we? At least I prepared when I was giving interviews and was looking for jobs. We have a long clarity about who am I. Yes? Well, let me ask you this question. If I ask you, okay, are your parents' name or your parents' name? Let me keep that aside. Your qualification, oh, I can take that away. All of a sudden the qualification becomes redundant. For example, once upon a time, typing used to be a qualification. Today it is redundant. So qualification can be redundant. Hobbies, skills. Oh, if I take all that, who you are, what is the self that you call as? Probably then you would start reflecting to figure out who as a person do you come across. And at this level, that's a good start. How am I? How I behave? How reactive, how responsive am I? Anger, confidence, depression, conflict, compassion, comparison, all that, how it all figures in me. And probably that would give us some idea about who we are as a person. Now, if as a person I am these things, somebody who is competitive, or somebody who is ready to sacrifice, somebody who always cares about others, or somebody who is too self-centric or whatever, then we start to understand who this person that I'm talking about is. And that's indeed a great start. Because when we talk of self-love, generally the idea is self-love amounts to selfishness. Self-love amounts to being self-centric, keeping ourselves on the top all the time. And on the second hand, there is a huge, shall I call it industry, but a huge movement rather. Yeah, a huge movement that is about how do we come across with self-love? How do we start loving ourselves? But without really understanding who we are, what do we love? Whom do we love? So, arriving at who am I as a person, so even if you take away my qualifications, even if you take about my lineage, even if you take about every position that I have, my bank balance, my degrees, my hobbies, my skills, who am I as a person? So that gives us fairly good enough idea about self. Now, love. That's the another tricky part. How do we get to understand what love is? The articles are full about dopamine effect and all the hormonal impacts. So, when hormones function and I feel pulled towards something, I say I'm in love. So it could be opposite gender, it could be the child, it could be the parents, but all hormonal. Well, that is quite pretty physical, isn't it? So, how is that love? That means there has to be some characteristic to it which is not really conquered by the physicality of ours, isn't it? Then only we can arrive at something called as love. So, to give a easier definition, love is the quality of your mind. It is a state of your mind when you feel loving towards anything that you come across. So, I am not just loving towards somebody, but I am equally loving towards the things that I have, the mobile, the stuff in the house, the nature, the animals, people, of course, and love is beyond comparison. So, wherever I am needed, I would give my time. It is not with respect to this person is more dear to me, so I'm going to only protect this person first. I would be equally lovable towards everybody else. Difficult to arrive at because the way we are brought up, the kind of experiences we have as children, as a child, difficult, but trust me, if you pay little attention, you would understand how beautiful a feeling this is, wherein you are all the time oozing out with love and you're sharing it with the other person. So how beautiful it becomes. So that's self and that's love. So now let's get at self-love. Now the challenge is, I have jealousy, I have fear, I have hatred, I have so many things. So when I talk of self-love, what do I love? Don't you find yourself all the time talking of, I don't know this, I don't feel confident here, and then there is so much of guilt, there is self-criticism and all such things. So where does this self-love amounts to? Then acknowledging that these are there, still being non-judgmental towards oneself. If you can arrive at that, then you are coming closer to self-love. So, yes, I do get lazy and I'm not labeling myself, I'm not judging myself, but what I'm doing is I'm just acknowledging it as a characteristic, and then I see, okay, so what next that I can do about my laziness? And then I really do every possible thing so that I combat that. It doesn't mean that I sit in there, oh yeah, I'm lazy, that's alright. No. You got to really understand what's valuable in life, and laziness must not come in between. And so it is with every other behavior. So if one is doing so, one is coming close to self-love. Yeah. So we said no criticizing, no blaming, no guilt, no judgment. Just simple plain acknowledgement that okay, these are there. Now, how do I get there? How do I get there? Because mind immediately judges. It is like you see somebody in a specific color clothes and you say, hey, that's the color I just don't like. Or you see somebody driving fast and immediately, what the hell, and all the abusive languages. And this goes on. So, how do I get in there? You need to take little pauses. Understand that the way mind function is that it will judge. That's how it is. It will immediately arrive at that. The question is, how much of value do you associate with your judgments? Can you just be, okay, these judgments came, let them be like yes, they came, they will go? Or do you get involved in those judgments? The moment you got involved in those judgments, game gets over. But the moment you say, okay, I'm willing to not value those judgments. Okay, my mind says that this color I don't like, so what? My mind says this food I don't like, so what? My mind says, hey, I'm feeling jealous and it's okay. Let me move ahead. Can I be more compassionate then? And then you look at what will help you to move out of that negative zone. Trust me, if you will be playing those negative emotions, I'm feeling a lot of rage and hatred, and I'm feeling fearful. I don't know, yaar. This is damn sucking. If you're playing these records in your mind continuously, you will never be able to arrive at the place of self-love, because it is a tremendous task. It demands a lot of energy. It demands a lot of compassion and passion towards oneself. And that is also when you start to realize how each one of us are connected. Yes, how each one of us are connected. And that's where you also start to becoming non-judgmental towards others, valuing them as a person and not as those behaviors. And that is where, when they behave in those ways, it becomes easy to take that behavior. I hope this helps some clarity on self-love, and you'll be able to reach there soon. Do consider subscribing if this has added value to you, and share your comments. Yes. See ya. Bye.